Hello, welcome to Easy English. Today, I'm going to give you a list of 10 stereotypes about England, 5 that are true and 5 that are false. And I want you to guess which are which. Are you ready? Here are your 10 stereotypes about England. Number 1, it's always raining. Number 2, we love to queue. Number 3, we're overly polite. Number 4, we love to complain. Number 5, we all eat fish and chips. Number 6, we love to drink. 7, we love the royal family. 8, we only have one accent. 9, we love to drink tea. And 10, we have a stiff upper lip. Think you got it? Let me go through each one and give you the answer why it's either true or false. Number 1, it's always raining. It's a bit of an easy one to start with there, as this one is obviously false. Funnily enough though, it actually rains on average 35 days more a year in Miami than in London. However, that doesn't mean it's not a rainy country. According to data collected from 1981 to 2010, on average it rains in England for 156.2 days per year. So if you are planning on visiting, don't forget your raincoat and umbrella, as our weather can be quite unpredictable. Don't let this put you off though. England has built its traditions on rainy days. Sitting in an old English pub with a fire or listening to the Smiths is always much better when it's chucking it down outside. This is mostly due to the island's unfortunate location, being right in the path of this atmospheric jet stream, which usually passes along a steady path from west to east across the Atlantic. Sometimes a bit to the north of us, sometimes a bit to the south. The flow of these streams is not a neat curve, but Britain is always right on the northern side where conditions are cooler and wetter, which usually means the country keeps getting hit by rain. Number 2, we love to queue is a true stereotype about the English. The best example of our reputation and love of queuing is the legendary Wimbledon queue. To get tickets to watch tennis at the esteemed venue is no easy feat, and just to be in with a chance of a big court ticket, you need to begin queuing 16 hours before the gates open. So bring your tent, some beers and a rain jacket, because as we know, the weather can and will change. Don't think of it as a festival, as there are also quite strict rules on queuing, all squeezed into a delightful leaflet. And further to this, queuing goes beyond the conscious realm. People will subconsciously queue up for things. A personal example is that I was one time waiting outside a shop for a friend. I was using my phone and I hadn't realised that people had begun to line up behind me thinking I was queuing to get into the shop. Number 3, we're overly polite is also a true stereotype about us English people. I recently saw a YouTube video of Young Libertines frontman and 2000s Hellraiser Pete Doherty being hit in the face with a microphone during an interview and then apologising for it. Check out the video up here. Social anthropologist Kate Fox describes experiments in which she deliberately bumped into hundreds of people in towns and cities across England. Fox found that around 80% of English victims said sorry, even though the collisions were clearly Fox's fault. This could be due to the fact that sorry can be used in different contexts. As well as being used to admit a mistake, sorry can also be used to express sympathy and feel sorry for someone else. It can also be used as an interjection. Sorry, are you queuing? Oh no, sorry. Number 4, we love to complain is false in my opinion. It would be contradictory to our politeness to claim that English people are complainers, as if anything, we love to avoid making a fuss. We will eat our way through terribly cooked food, sit through terrible entertainment and pretend to enjoy ourselves on a terrible holiday. This claim might come from our self-deprecating or sarcastic humour, where you might find hints of our true feelings, or from our number 1 conversation piece, talking about the weather, which as we've just talked about can be quite miserable. Number 5, we all eat fish and chips is another false claim. As someone who resides at the seaside, fish and chips are always readily available and sold all along the seafront, but it isn't something that most English people eat on a regular basis. In fact, it's more of a cheat day meal. It isn't even our national dish. Funnily enough, a curry is our national dish, followed by a roast dinner, which are genuine dishes that most English people eat on a regular basis, or at least more so than fish and chips. Furthermore, it's estimated that 14% of Brits are vegetarian and 7% vegan, so fish and chips might not make it onto many English menus in the future. Number 6, we love to drink is very true. I recently read that Winston Churchill was said to have started each day with a glass of scotch to go with his breakfast. Almost everything we do can be accompanied by a drink, whether it's Bloody Marys in the morning to cure your hangover from last night, a liquid lunch Guinness, a Pimm's on a sunny afternoon, a pre-drink before you go out to drink, and the fact that football and beer are completely intertwined. There's no wonder our love of drinking exists, especially as most of our pubs start serving alcohol from 11 AM, and the pub is the number one meeting place for everything, from funerals, lunch meetings, family gatherings, and even job interviews. Number 7, we love the royal family is false. In earlier decades, the royal family were our celebrity couples to read and listen about, but with the rise of the internet and celebrity culture, the royal family have become very outdated. The royal family surrounds most of our general life in forms of the Queen's head on stamps and money, the royal warrant featuring on HP sauce bottles, Twinings tea and our passports. It's no wonder we want to separate ourselves from Queen Liz and her family. However, with programs like The Crown and a more up-to-date Prince Harry starting a podcast, maybe we'll see the birth of new English royalists. Number 8. Speaking of the royals, the stereotype that we all sound like the royal family, or all sound the same, is obviously false. Actually, it's quite amazing how diverse our accents are for such a small country. For example, you only need to hear John Lennon in comparison to any of the Peaky Blinders characters and understand that less than 100 miles separates them, and that they both sound nothing like Queenie. In fact, check out last week's video to get recommendations for 10 UK films with 10 different UK dialects in the link up here. Number 9, we love tea. The fact that I even made a video about this subject a few weeks ago says it all really. We love tea. When we're not drinking beers, we're probably having a brew. Check out the video in the link up here to get your fix on tea facts and which of the many teas we have on offer is the best. Number 10, finally, we have the stereotype that we all have a stiff upper lip. This phrase translates to being resolute and unemotional when faced with adversity. This cliche is partly true, but it's important to unpack this because this trait is famously known to have been the reason for our success in building the empire and getting through 2 world wars, but it comes at a cost. Going back to the royals, Prince Harry described how he went for counselling after repressing his own grief over the loss of his mother, which led to a 2-year period of anxiety, anger and total chaos. And his brother, the Duke of Cambridge, has gone on to warn in an interview that keeping a stiff upper lip should not be at the expense of your health. This character trait was also hilariously shown in a sketch show by English comedians French and Saunders, in a caricature of a hunting, shooting and fishing woman who accidentally chops off her finger and rather than crying, throws it to her nearby dog. When another dog starts barking for a similar treat, she cuts off another finger. So, how many did you get? And are there any other stereotypes you know when you think of English people? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to check out our Patreon to get extra learning material for this episode, and we'll see you next time. Bye! According to data collected from 1981 to 2010, and wetter, which usually means the country keeps getting hit by rain. Yes!